let's get to takeaways. We hit on some of those right now. I think this showcase, my main takeaway is that it showcased Tennessee's ability to win with a running game, to win with defense, and they didn't have to throw for a cajillion yards as they seemingly had to against Georgia to win a football game. I think you're going to see that moving forward. So I know I'm projecting against a lesser opponent here, a very lesser opponent, but that's my takeaway is that Tennessee showed that they could win in more than one way. Hit that like and subscribe button and fill us in on the message board. Your thoughts on takeaways as Tennessee beats UAB 56-24.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was a very balanced attack. Tennessee had 275 passing yards and 235 rushing yards in the game, 3 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns. The difference in the game was on the ground. That is actually one of my takeaways too. It's Tennessee had 235 rushing yards. UAB had 23 rushing yards. And by the way, that was only 8 yards going into the fourth quarter. UAB had 8 yards on the ground going into the fourth quarter. Tennessee had 235. This game was won on the ground. And that really stands out for Tennessee, that, the fact that they blew them out. So I totally agree with you. It was the balanced attack and the ground game at the line of scrimmage that won this game.
Okay. Any other takeaways before we get to turning points?
Yeah, a few others. Fast starts continue. Dave, Tennessee scored a touchdown on 6 of its 7 possessions in the first half, and then there was the interception. But they scored on their first 2 drives, and then after the interception, then they scored on the next 4. And Joey Aguilar was 7 of 7 to start the game. This is good. This is kind of early Heupel Tennessee, where they're going to be sluggish in the middle of the game a lot of times, but they are going to start really fast, won't they?
Yes, I think this is a team that, and even though this game was won as much on the ground as through the air by Tennessee, it was still set up by the fact that UAB was afraid of Tennessee and their passing attack. I don't think there's any question about that.
Exactly. A couple of others. Defense was very opportunistic. This is where I was disagreeing with the defense. I mean, Boo Carter forces a fumble that's returned for a touchdown, and then Andre Turrentine gets an interception before that, and also they get that 4th down stop in the first half. So when they were needed, they were very, very opportunistic, made a couple of plays. A couple of negatives I just want to point out. They gave up too many 3rd and longs, and that is where the 375 yards happened. The third down defense was it. The old 3rd and Chavis phrase. It felt like it might have been back in this game a little bit. And that might have always been a little unfair to John Chavis, but it was a known thing. And then the final one is just too many Butterfingers in this game. I talk about the Brazel pass. I talk about the Peyton Lewis pass. And then we talk about the Boo Carter muffed punt. Little things like that you can't have in SEC play.
He looked apathetic on that play. That was troubling to me. And Matt Stinchcomb pointed that out, the Georgia offensive lineman who was the ESPN color guy. He just looked like he wasn't into it at that point in the game from a punt return standpoint, which I don't get.
He did, and I don't know what to make of it because everybody, if you read Vol Twitter, given the stories with Boo Carter in the offseason, the world was like, just kick him off the team. I'm done with him. I'm tired of him, yada, yada, yada. And what does he do? He goes after that and has probably the best defensive sequence anybody individually has had in a game this year, honestly, where he got a strip sack, then he got a tackle for a loss, then he forced another fumble that was returned for a touchdown, all on one drive. And so he did look apathetic, but I think I don't want to take away from the stuff he did the rest of the game. Sometimes you get lost in thought playing football, and I know you shouldn't, but I feel like sometimes players do.
No, that's fair. Any other takeaways from the game?
No, those are my biggest ones. What were your thoughts on too? We talked about the opportunistic defense, but then the too many 3rd and longs. That is the one area where I'm going to have to, like I said, you're going to have to work on that a little bit in the pass defense in the back 7.
No, that's fair.